The solutions are in the building. Together we succeed. Alone we cry. If an organization is going to successfully implement change, the people have to work together. This is why I suggest that you all create teams to lead the work. I think you need to create a technology team. This team could oversee the learning management system. You can learn all the nuances and then teach the other colleagues. This team could create the videos and the documents outlining the steps or the processes and have those placed on the school website for teachers and for students and parents. The technology team could also identify the different apps that you're going to use. And then maybe teach how students and teachers how to use those apps. The communication team. Communication is extremely important throughout a change or as you implement an initiative. Today's student and parent typically communicate through texting or some social media medium. They don't really listen to read emails, or they don't really answer telephone calls frequently. They're more apt to listen or to read a text. So you'll notice on the bottom of this page I have Remind. And Remind is an app, it's a texting service, and you can communicate with parents pretty quickly and students pretty quickly with this tool. Whole child. You need a whole child team. We really, in this COVID and the situations that we find ourselves in today, we know that our kids, many of our kids, the safest place for them was at school. Now they're having to go home 2 days or 3 days a week. And it may not be a safe space for them. So we might be concerned that they're not doing their work or they're not turning the assignment in on time. In some of those instances, they may not be able to. It may be a bad place at home for them. I know we used to think that, we had to feed them, but sometimes it's the only safe place for them to be is in our schools. So if we can think about the social emotional piece for these students. I know I've talked to some students that have been quarantined at the college level, and they say that 10 to 14 days that they're quarantined by themselves in a room is pretty harmful. They say it's a pretty alone time. So let's really think about the social emotional needs because we know that we have to Maslow before we bloom. It has to happen. So how do we incorporate, what kind of things can we do? How can we involve counseling? How can we identify students that might need counseling and try to help them through this process? This is a difficult time. It's not only new for us as teachers, it's new for the student. The next piece in that whole child or for that social emotional piece, I think you need to think about your teachers and your staff, your colleagues. Because it is tough on them. So what kind of things, teachers really for the most part are overachievers. They really try. They're type A personalities. They want to succeed. They want to be successful. And as you implement this virtual learning and all the new pieces and moving parts, along with students maybe not jumping in and being able to fly immediately, that's got to be detrimental to our teachers' psyche as well. So what kind of things are we doing to help them? And then motivation. I think encouragement and motivation are important. So what kind of rewards and incentives, what kind of things do we do to keep everyone excited? And so if you think about these teams, and this is just a sample, but technology team to kind of get into the learning management system and the different apps and be experts in that, help teach the students, help teach your colleagues, place the documents and the videos online for parents and students to see, the how-to videos. Communication team, because communication is important, but we have to understand how we're going to get the most what tool do we need to use to get the most, to let the most people hear us? But we also make sure that we need to make sure that we hear them. So we have to be able to communication's got to be two-way. Whole child, again, we have to be able to Maslow before we bloom, and think about that for your teachers as well. And then motivation. How do we keep encouraging and rewarding and reinforcement and keeping everything in a positive light? Now, these are just some suggestions. You can come up with other teams, but the key is that if we're going to succeed, we're going to have to work together. We should not be in our individual rooms trying to figure out individually all the different pieces and all the different parts when we can divide and conquer. This will give us more time, maybe even allow us to get home in the evenings and have a little bit of rest before we come back the next day to do this battle again.